Hello guys, in today's video I will give you an entire guide about Frost. Why Frost? Well, she's a great operator. I love playing her, and today I'll show you everything you need to know about her. Just a short while ago, Frost was underpicked, but is placed on the third highest win rate on the fence according to this graph. Due to her low pick rate, enemies don't always expect a Frost to be there. They're not always ready to check for welcome mats. Even the current world champions TSM show they really like playing Frost. Shala even had Frost as his most picked operator during Chalet in the semi-finals versus FaZe.
At long range from another member of TSM. Soul's going to find Mert before Charla trades on back the other side, and there's a Frost mats him. You know that sound all too well. Stay into trophy window, down he goes to Achieved up on the north side of things. Soul's with one back.
She has a really good gadget and a great loadout. First, I'll show you why her loadout is so nice, and then I'll show you all you need to know about her gadget. First, her loadout. Frost has a 9mm C1 gun, which has 34 bullets in a magazine. She can also pick the Super 90 shotgun, but I would say the 9mm C1 sees more play. Unfortunately, the 1.5 times scope was taken away from her, but there's a lot of different options for scopes. The only downside to this gun, in my opinion, is that the fire rate isn't the fastest. For a secondary, she can either pick the MK1 9mm pistol or the ITA-12S shotgun. This makes her really strong because she can help make rotates, set up a sight, and create lines of sight. Her gadget is either the bulletproof shield, which is really strong in the current meta, or a bulletproof camera that you can use to bait enemies into a frost mat. And now the introduction to the welcome mat, also known as the frost mat or the pog mat. She has 3 of them, and she can place them down. Unfortunately, it doesn't give a notification when someone steps into the mat, but you can hear a clear sound cue. Attackers will always go down when stepping into a frost mat. You can get rezzed if you are in a frost mat, and as an attacker, you will have 20 HP left if you get rezzed. Throughout this video, we'll have beautiful statistics provided by R6 Analyst, which I asked for. I'm really thankful they were able to help me out and get some really cool statistics about Frost and her frost mats. And the first statistic that we have right here is the amount of trigger frost mats that will actually lead to a kill. So we're talking about an attacker that has been in a frost mat and they were either killed whilst being in the frost mat, or they were picked up again and killed afterwards. As an attacker, you cannot slow the bleeding when you're stuck in a frost mat.
Help me step frost, I'm stuck, omega lol.
A frost mat needs 2 bullets to be destroyed. In this graphic, we can see 3 things. We see that about 10% of the frost mats that are put down will also be triggered. We'll see that about 6 or 5% of the frost mats will actually lead to a kill as well, and about 28% of the frost mats get destroyed. This means that not even 1 of the 3 frost mats on average gets destroyed when Frost puts all 3 of them down. We also see a nice distribution per rank, and what I personally think is interesting is that, for example, in Diamond, the amount of frost mats that get triggered is actually just a little bit higher than it is in Platinum. Finka cannot pick herself or a teammate up from a welcome mat. So what are the frost mat do's and don'ts? Where should I place my frost mats? I would place your frost mats on high pressure areas, like under windows and in corners or halfway up the stairs. That's where attackers aren't really looking at the floor. Because ideally, you would place the frost mats in spots where attackers are forced to look up due to a threat of surrounding enemies, so they will pay less attention to the floor. This is why up on the stairs or underneath a window are great spots, because attackers have so many other things to keep in mind or to keep looking at that they won't necessarily be focused on the floor. What are some great gadgets to combine Frost with? You can combine it with a barbed wire, which makes the mat less visible. You can combine it with a shield, which kind of protects the mat or makes it difficult to spot out the mat. You can combine it with a bulletproof camera, like mentioned before, to bait enemies. Thorin's Razor-Bloom shell is really good as well. For example, on the clubhouse red stairs. If an enemy is walking up the stairs and a Thorin Razor-Bloom shell gets triggered, the enemy runs up the stairs in panic and doesn't even notice the frost mat on top of the red stairs. Frost also works really well together with concussing gadgets such as Alice Grismod or Echo's Yokai Drone. This makes the enemy very disorientated and they won't easily spot out frost mats. How should I not combine my frost mats? Well, previously, a goo mine worked great in combination with a frost mat. It would kill the person in a frost mat, but this no longer works. So don't place goo mines in the proximity of a frost mat. A Kapkan trap will not destroy the frost mat, no matter how close it is. However, the frost mat does go well in combination with fire, such as fire coming from a Vulcan canister. This is okay to be in the range of a frost mat because it won't destroy the frost mat. So how important is frost during a round? I would say she is most important during the prep phase. This is when she places down her welcome mats. If she dies immediately because she was trying to go for a spawn peek, for example, that's kind of okay. Any kill should still be rewarded to Frost. With her gadgets, she's more a set and forget operator. And Frost isn't necessarily a roamer either. Usually, she's played more passive and close to the site. This is probably due to the slower fire rate of her gun. It's not the best in taking gunfights, but it will sure get you kills. She can hold off areas very well due to her welcome mats and, for example, the bulletproof shield. It gives you really good cover. It's smart to play around your frost mats for the sound cues, and a sneaky trick I do sometimes is placing down another frost mat on a location where I already killed an enemy with a welcome mat. They surely won't expect a second one. So according to R6 Analyst, the best map for Frost is Villa, and this is counted by the amount of frost mats that were triggered per map. We have Villa, Clubhouse, and Cafe on the top 3 of best maps for Frost. I like playing Frost the most on Chalet, Cafe Dostoevsky, and Clubhouse, and I'll show you some frost mats that will definitely lead to a few kills. On Chalet, on the top floor, I have 2 different setups. You can either focus towards solar or you can focus towards the library. If you want to focus towards solar, I place my frost mat on the solar stairs. Enemies that are walking up the stairs will not necessarily be focused on the actual floor because there's a lot of threat coming from upper solar. I placed one on the piano window and I placed the last one on the bathroom window. If I want to focus more towards the library, I place both my frost mats on both the library windows, and the final frost mat goes underneath the fluke balcony jump in or the office balcony jump in, whatever you want to call it. On Cafe for the top floor, I place my frost mat underneath the big skylight. I place one behind the shop counter. This is really good because you won't see it when you're approaching shop, but as soon as you jump over the counter, you're gonna get your ankle stuck in a frost mat. The last one either goes halfway up the white because enemies won't necessarily be looking at the floor, but they'll be looking at the threat coming from the top white stairs, or if you're working with a jump rotate to freezer, I put the frost mat behind or after the rotate in freezer because once again there's a lot of different things that the enemies have to be focused on, so they might just get their feet stuck in a frost mat. For Cafe on the bottom floor, I place my frost mats at the wedding window, I place one at coat check window, and the last one goes in the prep window. As mentioned, all of these are windows and the enemies won't necessarily be looking down at the floor whenever they're jumping in. For Clubhouse on CCTV, I place my frost mat up on the red stairs like mentioned before in combination, for example, with a Thorn Razor Bloom trick. I place it on the CCTV window or the construction window. Keep in mind, the CCTV window one is kind of vulnerable if they've opened the breach. And my last one goes onto the rafter stairs. And this is one that will 9 out of 10 times lead to a kill. Why is that? If an enemy is walking up the rafter stairs, you will have either a rotate towards CCTV or you'll have head holes towards CCTV and cache. And there's so much of a threat coming from the actual site. So the enemy is very much focused towards CCTV and they won't even see a frost mat laying on top of the rafter stairs. For Clubhouse on bedroom, I place one at the gym window, one goes on the bedroom window, and the last one goes on the construction window. For bank CEO objective, I put both frost mats at the both stock windows, and the last one goes in between the windows in CEO, or more focused towards one of these windows in CEO. For this lovely Amaru that comes yoinking into the site within 30 seconds, and sometimes maybe putting one behind the couch in CEO also works really good. And this is also something that has worked in Challenger League, so it'll definitely work in your ranked games too. I really like playing Frost on border, more specifically on the site Armory. I place one in the small office because when enemies come rushing up the main stairs and they want to hop into the small office window, they won't see the frost mat lying underneath. Another frost mat goes at the office window, and the last one goes underneath the CCTV window. When I'm playing Coastline and it's the kitchen objective, I place one of my frost mats underneath the kitchen window, and these might be a little bit weird, but you will be surprised with how good they actually work. Both both of the frostbits go underneath the courtyard jumping. And this is something whenever enemies are jumping in, they're so focused on either bathroom or sunrise that they won't be looking at it. And I have had a few enemies be very upset with this weird frostmat being placed underneath the courtyard jumping. For consulate and the CEO objective, I placed one on the printer window, once again for the lovely Amaru, one for the CEO window, and the last one goes under the bathroom window. For Oregon on top floor, I placed one of my frostmats underneath the big window, the second one goes under the game window, and the last one goes in pit. And this is a really good one because once again it's high pressure area. As soon as enemies have taken control over attic, they will more so be focused on the very corner on the left side. They'll be focused on the concrete door or they rotate towards attic, and they will not be focused on the floor, and they might as well fall into the frostmat. For skyscraper, I play frost on two different objectives. When it comes to teas or karaoke, I place the frostmats under the karaoke window, under the geisha window, and under the shrine window. The shrine window frostmat is also used when I'm playing frost at the office objective because I place it at the shrine window and the other two frostmats go to the terrace window and the office window. When I'm playing frost in villa at the trophy statuary site, I place all my frostmats underneath windows. For example, at the bedroom window or the bathroom window and the closet window. You could, if you want, place the frostmat up the red stairs or for example in the wolf window. Frost has a really cool elite skin, and there's also a gadget skin for the welcome mat. Unfortunately, this gadget skin has really visible sparks and it won't always be the best way of equipping your frost. For me personally, I picked the standard or the default frost mat, but since a recent update, luckily also with the default gadget skin, you will still get the beautiful MVP animation. And you've come this far in the video, which means you're either a frost enthusiast or you're actually liking the video. If that's the case, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video. We're on a goal towards 10k subscribers on YouTube, and as it may seem far ahead, it would be really cool if we could reach that this year. Thank you very much for your support. Make sure you give Frost a try or come watch how I play Frost during my Twitch streams at twitch.tv/FastAnne. Thank you very much for watching. Have a really good rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next video.